Good morning, my friends. I trust that all is well with you. I'm Kevin Rice from the Academy of Spiritual Awakening, and today I want to talk about the title, or the description for the title today is I Am That I Am. And I want to talk to you about that because it's a very powerful mantra that you can say every day to yourself to understand the totality of your identity and your essence as a child of the light, as a child of the day. That is why we are here. So I'm going to give you some keys today, giving you the gift of lilies, if you will, to understand the sacred nature of who we are, of who you are, and who I am as well. I want to talk about the first thing that I call oneself and the mutuality of salvation. Keep in mind with me that your relationship with God rests in your relationships to your brothers and your sisters, okay? Not just a familial relationship, but your brothers and sisters in the world, okay? Because the ark of peace that you and I want to enter into each and every day is entered by two. In other words, I'm not going to experience the awareness of God's love in my life unless and until I extend and express that love to you as well. I cannot experience enlightenment, I cannot experience nirvana unless you and me are experiencing it together, okay? That is my responsibility to extend and express the good, the holy, and the beautiful, okay? You know, A Course in Miracles says that the sacred relationship, or what A Course in Miracles refers to as the holy relationship, is born the minute that I look at you and recognize that we share the same need of the correction. That you and I are here to wake up from a sleeping pattern that we ourselves have created. That is the reason why we are here, to know that we are love itself. And then we begin to experience that love when we extend it to the world without any expectations, without any agendas whatsoever. Keep in mind with me that the first law of chaos, the first step of the ego, is to step into the first line of the ego, which is this: that my values are different than your values, and not only is it different from you, but my values are better than yours, okay? And from that notion that we identify ourselves with, that is where hell begins. That is where suffering begins. Keep in mind that everything that you experience in this field of awareness comes from you. It does not come from an external source. It comes from your own mind. And you have the ability to change your mind right now. You can change your mind today so that your tomorrows can be changed accordingly. When we change our mind from a posture and a premise of love, the unconditional love of God, then our tomorrows will be changed as a result of that shift in perception that I am experiencing right now. Keep in mind as well that A Course in Miracles says that sometime, somewhere, somehow you have chosen not to see your interest as separate from another's interest. When you and I agreed together that we have one interest, one goal, and one function in our world, then a special relationship is changed to a sacred relationship. My friends, I have done counselings for nearly 30 years, most with couples, okay, or individuals who want to have a relationship with other people. That peace, that joy, that bliss that people want and that seek within their minds is not going to be fulfilled until we understand that I share the same goal, for instance, as my spouse. Okay? Our goal, our intent in our relationship is not to look to the world okay or look good to the world. Our goal, instead, is to understand that what we can dance with and play with is the notion that he and I have the same interests, the same goal, and that is to awaken to the awareness of God's love in our lives by removing the lines of separation and division that we ourselves have placed within our minds. When that is changed, then we can have an experience of unity and oneness. A Course in Miracles says the ark of peace is entered 2 by 2. Yet the beginning of another world goes with them. Each holy or sacred relationship must enter here to learn its special function in the Holy Spirit's plan. Now that it shares His purpose, and as this purpose is fulfilled, a new world rises in which sin cannot enter, and where the Son of God, that's you and me, can enter without fear, and where He rests a while to forget imprisonment and to remember freedom. That is the purpose and the function of our relationships. And Jesus said this as well in the New Testament as well. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. That is what we do in our relationships as well. In other words, we begin to shut down the perceptions that is coming through our physical eyes. We shut that down and we begin to empty our minds. We begin to clean the slate and to allow the Holy Spirit, or the Spirit of love, if you want to refer to it as that, to inform us of how we navigate ourselves in this relationship with love, with joy, with respect, and with courteousness, and with kindness. That's it. And the form of the relationship will take care of itself. This is why A Course in Miracles is a curriculum in content and not in form of any kind. In other words, our attention, our energy should not be given to the world of form, which is an effect, but rather placed our attention instead upon the essence that we are expressing in this moment right now. And Joe Tedesco, thank you so much for your gifts too, that you have expressed and extended to Palm Beach County and to the world as well. You, my holy brother, are pure light. And Esteban Landano, you are as well pure light, pure love. You're in Colombia right now, but you are, as well as me, expressing the good, the holy, and the beautiful. So we must live and abide within the interior of an individual to find and discover the infinite, the invisible, the presence of the Christ, and the holiness and the light that lives within myself as well as my brothers as well. So it must be done in 3 ways. So I'm going to give you this recipe, this key, the ingredient to awakening to the fullness and the joy of our relationships. The first one is through secretly. So that what I am doing in agreement with my brothers or my sisters is to make sure that what is important for me is what is happening in the level of mind, okay? So for me, what is happening with my thoughts, my attitude, my belief system affects the world completely. Now, the temptation of the ego is one of me to want to try to correct myself or another person through the level of behavior or effect. That may have a temporarily effect in that moment, sure, but it does not have a permanent effect. The permanent effect of what I what I am entertaining in my field of awareness, my mind, is going to have an effect that's going to last way longer than a temporary relief that I'm giving to at any moment, okay? So I'm saying secretly because any thoughts that I am occupying my mind with is going to be secret. I don't need to tell you what I am harboring in my mind right now. I'm going to keep it secret from you. And it doesn't really matter whether I explain that to you verbally or keep it to myself. It's more important if I refrain from doing this to try to explain it to another person when I understand, for instance, that only loving thoughts is going to occupy my mind with. That is itself very, very important and very potent as well. So I don't need to try to test myself by trying to explain it to another person. Okay? It's my responsibility to harbor it, to give its energy, its time, and its time to it in that moment. I hope that you understand that. Okay? Secondly, then, the first one is secretly. The second one is sacredly. Here we approach each movement, each thought, each behavior with a premise or a posture of the sacred. In other words, I am approaching this moment as I would an altar dedicated unto God the Father and to God the Son. That is the reason why we are here, to understand that we are not in a world through duality-driven thinking. In other words, I'm not going to see the world as bad and good and beautiful and ugly, but rather, as Jesus said in the New Testament, if thine eye be single, the whole body shall be full of light. In other words, when I suspend judgment entirely, then I can have an experience of what? Oneness, of unity, and of joy. And this is why Jesus restated the golden rule in the New Testament as well. When I love my brother as I love myself, and when I love God as God loves me, then I can have an experience of oneness. Let me give you a way to look at this through the edges a little bit, a little angle here. So what do I mean by oneness? Okay, I have said this repeatedly and I'll say it again. You and I are exchanging molecules with each other. Okay, and the only thing that's going to make me feel separate from you or you from me is when we interject our tools of judgment, okay? When we suspend that judgment, we can have an experience of oneness. So it would be equivalent to what A Course in Miracles calls the ocean and the wave, or the sun and the sunbeam. The ego's voice says you are a sunbeam, but not the sun. That you are a wave, but not the ocean. All of spirituality involves you and me to understand that we are the sun itself, and that we are one with every single sunbeam that we are experiencing, that we are the depth of the ocean, and that we are one with every wave that is occurring on the surface of the ocean. I hope that you get this here. We got a question here from Annie. Let me just look here real quick here. Okay. Oh, that's me talking here just to make sure this thing works here. Let me turn the... Okay. Annie, I remember the I Am That I Am sermon from high school at YFC Youth. Oh my God, I don't even remember what YFC looks like or what it means, but I was part of it when I was a teenager that you did back then. I was so impressed. I love this one too. Okay, Annie, I kind of have a vague recollection of this, but I probably did it here in Kansas City. So thank you so much, Annie, for this as well. Let me see before I continue if we have any other questions here. Okay, So, we're talking about the ocean and the wave and the sun and the sunbeam. That the egoic mind wants to identify and allow the sunbeam to imprint itself to itself, as well as the wave wants to imprint itself to ourselves as well. But we have to remember again and choose once again that we are identifying ourselves instead with the depth of the ocean or the sun itself. Okay. Secondly, on our relationships with each other, and we're talking about what Annie just referred to as well. I am that, I am, and I'm going to go into it a little more fully in just a moment. So the second one I want to mention to you is that the choices that we entertain each moment of every minute of every day is always between miracles and grudges. That's it. Miracles or grievances. And recent studies have indicated that the more choices presented to an individual, the less likely he or she will make a choice. So if a person thinks that they have several choices here to pick from, in reality they only have two choices here, two voices. The voice for love or the voice for fear. They're either choosing for miracles or they are looking instead for grievances, grudges, blame mentality, victimhood, and so forth. One of two choices that we can experience in this moment. A difference between between grievances and miracles, between being right or being happy, or being insane temporarily, or sane, or what I mentioned last week to you as well. The difference between what is right now and what should be. All egoic involvement occurs in the what should be list. All peace, all bliss, all joy comes from what is list. When you and I can accept all things as they are, in this moment, we are at peace. The moment that I look at the world or another individual or another relationship and my thought comes up that says, hey, this person should do that. The world should look like this. But here is our freedom. Here is our liberty. When we understand that what we have already either miscreated or created in this world, we call our one mind. If it's a mess, then we can acknowledge in that moment, yeah, I did this. Of course, the miracle says, I have done this thing, and it is this that I would undo. I have done this thing. I have made a mess of not only my individual life, but the world collectively. I have done this thing, and it is this that I would undo. So you always choose then between your own weakness, what should be, and the strength of the Christ within you, which is accepting all things as they are, accepting what is, and letting go of completely and totally what should be. You see this, folks? If you have any questions here, so just let me know. I'm here to respond to you and give you any questions that you might be having here. I have said this before as well, that the only people who need to be enlightened in this world are those who believe that others need to be enlightened. I know this. And you know it too. But the curriculum that you and I are embarking upon, we are not being asked to make huge mental leaps mentally here. We are merely being asked to make a simple and gentle and gingerly shift of our perception from a way of looking at the world fearfully, but instead to look at the world lovingly instead. From fear to a call to love, from sickness to a call to health. Okay? This is why that Einstein once said that the most important question you could ever ask is this a friendly universe? Now, if you perceive the world unfriendly, then unfriendly the universe will be to you. If, however, you see the universe as friendly and benevolent, then the universe will manifest itself in that manner. This is how you're powerful. Your mind is so powerful. Your thoughts are so potent in our experience that we are going to experience the effects of it or the ripples of it the moment that we identify with ourselves a thought of either fear or a thought of love. My friends, only loving thoughts. Only loving thoughts. Thirdly, let's see how we're doing here so far here. Okay, we're good here. Here's the third one here. There's one problem that you and I are experiencing, and there's one solution. You know, in the book, The Mental Equivalent by Emmett Fox, he mentions this as well, called the golden key. And Emmett says, look, whenever you have a problem of any kind in your field of awareness, all you have to do is shift your perception and you think of God and you think of God's love instead. In other words, instead of placing your attention to the world of specifics, instead you place your attention and your energy on the essence of what is occurring. What is happening in the essence of reality? God's love, right here and right now. And so when you shift your perception to align yourself to that, then your problems begin to disappear. Okay? Instead of thinking about the problem, think about God or think of love instead. Again, this is how powerful and potent your thoughts that you are allowing to occupy your mind at any moment. Okay? And remember as well from lesson 79 in A Course in Miracles, everyone in this world seems to have his own special problems. Yet they are all the same and must be recognized as one if the one solution that solves them all is to be accepted. Who can see a problem that has been solved if he thinks the problem is something else? Even if he is given the answer, he cannot see its relevance. So, let me give you another way to understand this here. We only have one problem here right now, and that is the illusion, the hallucination, the notion of the separation. And again, the separation itself is a fallacy. It does not exist at all. So when we begin to identify with that notion of separation, then all problems then begin to arise within our field of awareness because we have accepted the first step of the lie given to us by the voice of fear. That the separation, I'm separate from you, you're separate from me, is real. When we remove that illusion, guess what happens? The problems will dissolve immediately. Because in that moment I understand who I am. And I understand as well who you are as well. That we are one, an effect of God's cause in our experience. You know, people tell me all the time, hey Kevin, you're brainwashed here. Folks, if I'm brainwashed, it's time that I got my mind brainwashed then, right? That I understand the reality and the identity that I want to identify with in this world. Okay? Keep in mind as well that God is all power, and what is not of God has no power whatsoever in our experience. Here is the rub. When we see the world as the source of all power that I'm experiencing as an effect, when I again change my mind about that and understand that I have the ability to stop thinking right now and ending our problems right now in this moment, because first, I'm here and now. And the past and the future is not even in my sphere of awareness whatsoever. What is happening is what is occurring right now. And secondly, the Tao Te Ching says, stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? And I think that I saw it at the channel, the Discover channel, Discovery channel, I think is what they refer to it as. And it said one time that birds do not fly, they are flown. That fish do not swim, they are swum. And then I added on to that children of God, that's you and me, do not think. We are thunk by the thoughts of God. That's it. We're being thunk, so we are letting go of the ability to quote unquote think, using the continuum of the past and the future to do that. So in other words, we are being informed through the window and the portal of the eternal timeless now by the spirit of love, and we are not being informed by the voice of fear that arises in the past and the future. Do you get this, folks? I hope so. Hey, Rubina and Terry, good to see you as well. If we have any other questions here, I'm here to respond to you, either through here or through personally, through email or so forth. You can communicate with me through any avenue that you are using in this moment. So again, I want to say again, one problem, one solution. What is the one problem? The separation that you and I have bought. The second one is to replace it with a solution, that the separation itself is an illusion. Okay? Terry, I love you too, my holy sister. And I hope to see you, by the way, in Miami next Sunday. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday at 1 o'clock at Unity on the Bay at the Cameron House at 1 o'clock to do a Course in Miracles group discussion. So I hope that you see me there Sunday at Unity on the Bay, the 7th of January. And by the way, you can see the details for this. Go to my website, the Academy of Spiritual Awakening.org. It's in the description, and you can give the details there to join us there on Sunday, January 7th at Unity on the Bay in Miami. Okay. Keep in mind as well that ego looks to form to solve its problems, but the spirit of love looks to substance or the essence to recognize that the problem is already solved. When you bring a level of conviction and belief and confidence to those thoughts, then your mind begins to change accordingly. Hey, Lupe. Good to see you, my holy sister. A Course in Miracles says, as long as love is your only function, there will be nothing that the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your effort. He will go before you, making straight your paths and leaving no stones to trip upon and no obstacles to bar your ways. Nothing that you need will be denied you. Not one seeming difficulty will but melt away before you reach it. You need do nothing, careless of everything except for the one function that you would fulfill. What is that one function? It is the light and the love of God extending and expressing itself to a world that is in desperate need of it now. Okay? That's why I'm here right now. To extend and to express the good, the holy, and the beautiful each and every day. I hope that you get this, folks. Oh, okay, Terry, you'll be there. Good. Tell your friends, by the way, in Miami to join us as well. Go to our website, the Academy of Spiritual Awakening.org. Okay? Also, fourthly, here, that the love of Spirit is the teacher. In other words, you and I are not the teacher. Okay? We are students in this schoolroom here. A Course in Miracles says that into eternity where all is one, there crept a tiny, mad idea in which the Son of God, you and me, remembered not to laugh. You know, and by the way, I don't know where the Way of Mastery is. It's around here somewhere. But I just read it this morning here as well. That the reason that most people have experiences and problems and difficulties and challenges is because they think that the world of effect is serious, and it's not. You can look at the world and laugh about it. That laughter is necessary for you and me to understand that the world of the illusion, the world of hallucinations, the phenomenon that arises in our field of awareness from time to time is itself an optical illusion. Okay? And so, to whatever extent that we can laugh about that and disregard it, then we can experience the peace of God instead. Okay? So, the Spirit of Love is the answer to that mad idea of what? Of the separation. Of the separation. So God's voice then does speak to us, but we do not hear that voice of love because we are too preoccupied by our own mind, our own fixation with time and space. So eternity then is lost to us in that moment. So to whatever extent that we can step into right now, the eternal timeless now, to be here now, then the voice of love begins to open up and begin to inform us how we should navigate ourselves through the maze we call time and space. Okay? So, fifthly here. And by the way, before I do that though, because I really want to convey to you the importance of you and I placing our attention here and now. Here's another way of saying this. Hi, Karen. Good to see you, my holy sister. You have to go where the speaker is speaking, okay? Right now, you are hearing me speaking right now, okay? So, in order for you to hear Kevin Rice, you had to go to Facebook right now, at this moment in time, to hear me speaking to you. The same is true about the Spirit of Love as well. We can't hear the Spirit of Love inform us if we are not here listening to them. We are in the past to the future. So the same is true about the Spirit of Love. You have to go to where the speaker is speaking. Where is the speaker of the love of God speaking? The love of God is speaking right now, in this moment. So you have to go where the speaker is speaking. Now. Not in the past, not in the future, but now. When we empty our minds, when we clean the slate, then and only then, when we stop thinking and empty our minds, and to be still in order to hear the still small voice of love informing us each and every day. Hey, Travis, good to see you, my holy brother. So what does it mean then to see in the now? The difference is this, between perception and vision. What is perception? Perception is the foundation that time and space is born from, okay? That is where your perceptions occur, in the past and the future. Vision occurs instead when we are informed by the Spirit of Love, number one, And number two, we are living in fully in the eternal timeless now. Okay? So we are going again where the speaker is speaking. Okay? The Spirit of Love is speaking from right and now. Okay? I hope that you're getting this here. All right, I'm looking to see if we have any questions from you here. All right, folks. Let's go to the number 5 here. Okay, the difference between the holy instant, what is vision here, and we were referring to that just a few moments ago here, and I'll expound on it a little bit more here. The difference between the instant, the holy instant, and time and space, okay? Keep in mind that the Spirit of Love always teaches through contrast and comparison. So let me explain this to you. In other words, the Holy Spirit tries to convey to us the difference between the continuum of time and space, the past and the future, and the difference from that to the eternal timeless now. What is occurring and informing from us the eternal timeless now. So time and space, for instance, is the source of all of the guilt that we are experiencing right now. When we let go of the past and the future, the guilt goes accordingly. Guilt is the glue that holds time and space together. When we let go of the guilt, we let go as well the gravity of time and space as well. Okay? So I mentioned before about vision there in the eternal timeless now as opposed to the perceptions from the past or the future. What is perfect vision? Perfect vision occurs when I remove the gap that I myself have placed between me and you. You getting this? Because right now you might be seeing an hallucination rather, between you and me. A gap that you have placed between yourself and me. When you yourself remove that gap, then you have an experience of oneness with me. You have, in that moment, perfect vision. You see your brother and your sister as he is, and not what time and space tells you that they are. You're not using the past to judge against the present. If you do this, your future will be like your past, and your present moment will always be a hellish experience. Be here now. Keep in mind as well that Einstein said this as well, and so did A Course in Miracles, that the past, the present, and the future are not continuous unless we force continuity upon it. How do we do that? How do we force continuity upon them? We do it through our judgments, our blame, our attack, and our notion of the separation, which itself is a fallacy. We do it through projection, we do it through judgment, and we do it through holding grievances against our brothers and sisters by nailing our brothers and sisters to the cross of time and space. A person once said that we crucify ourselves between two thieves, past regrets and future expectations. Okay? We can choose again. We can choose again. You and I occupy a very sacred and holy place called the mind. It's holy. It's sacred. It's too holy and too sacred to entertain or occupy those small and tiny voices of the ego arising from the past and the future. It's your responsibility as a Christed individual to act accordingly, to extend only the good, the holy, and the beautiful. If we are doing anything beyond that, then we are asleep in that moment. We can become awakened right now by choosing only loving thoughts in our realm, in our field of awareness. And keep in mind the final thing that I'm going to give you this evening as well. From A Course in Miracles here. Dream of your brother's kindnesses instead of dwelling in your dreams on his mistakes. Select his thoughtfulness to dream about instead of counting up the hurts he gave. And forgive him his illusions and give thanks to him for all the helpfulness he gave. And do not brush aside his many gifts because he is not perfect in your mind. My friends, there is a better way. There is a better way. You and I have the ability to change our world by experiencing personally the peace of God. By removing that first step of the illusion, the separation, and then begin to step into the eternal timeless now, and opening the window and the portal of God's love so that it can tell me in that moment how it wants to inform me, what to do, what to say, and where to go. It's that easy breezy. This world does not have to be a difficult journey whatsoever. You can instead begin to rest in God instead. You see a hurricane around you that is occurring right now, you can instead stay in the eye of the storm, the center of the storm. Yes, you can put your toe into the hurricane from time to time and play with it and dance with it. But your identity as a child of the light rests in the eye of the storm, the peace of the storm. You can instead rest in God instead of resting on the pillow of time and space. That's going to bring you an experience of suffering and sadness and disappointment over and over again. I had to mention it to a person this morning wanting to have lunch with me today, and there was a list of expectations attached to that request, right? And I said to my holy brother, hey, keep in mind with me here that expectations equal suffering. Okay? To whatever extent that you can write a list here of the expectations or the agendas that you have about another person, then you yourself are subscribing to a recipe of disaster. This is how relationships go south immediately. Hey, Danny, Borja, I love you, my holy brother. You're pure light, my holy brother. All right, folks. I guess I went through there a significant moment here with you in time and space on a Friday at 4 o'clock here in the Eastern time. And I guess that Trump is here as well in West Palm Beach. And you can assure with me, hopefully, that we enfold even our president, whether you like him or not, with the love and the light of God, whether he is expressing that love or whether he desperately needs it right now. You and I can do that right now here in West Palm Beach where we are, or over the world as well. You are a child of light. And I hope that you can begin to comport yourself in this manner each and every day when we do this. So, if no one has told you today that they love you, allow me to be the first. I love you so much, and I just want to remind you, I'm going to be at Unity on the Bay, January 7th at 1 o'clock for A Course in Miracles discussion, $20 suggested love offering. And we're not here to enrich ourselves or Unity on the Bay as well, to try to help you and myself to awaken to the awareness of God's love, which is present for you and me today. We are not without a present help in times of need. And all we have to do is ask the universe for its support, and it will be given to us each and every day. I love you.